Let us now hear from Dr. S.S. Iyengar, currently the Distinguished University Professor, founding director of the Discovery Lab, and director of the U.S. Army funded Center of Excellence in Digital Forensics at the Florida International University, Miami, on how catalyzing innovation by unleashing the potential of industry academia partnerships could help India and deep tech outcomes. Dr. S.S. Iyengar has been among the list of top 2% cited scholars of Stanford study this year, awarded Lifetime Achievement Award for his contribution to the field of digital forensics at the Interpol Digital Forensics Expert Group, among many more. Dr. Iyengar, welcome. I request your words of wisdom, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's an honor for me to be here. And, I've seen real growth of the collaborations. Of course, the last 5 decades I spent in United States. And one of the things, how exactly you can unleash the potential of industry academic partnerships in India is what the real theme of my talk. And I know that the time that I've been allocated is 15 minutes, not enough. But let's go to the next slide. And I sort of rush through this. And there are a lot of things who have helped me, in the funding, gotten millions of dollars funding, and essentially bringing the collaboration between the industries and academia. So one of the interesting things, go to the next slide. What is very important is we are able to sort of develop or enhance a curriculum that is driven by the industries. It is not driven by just universities. This is the general theme of all the universities across the country, like Stanford, MIT, and I had many opportunities to be part of some of those places as a speaker, collaborator, and so on. So what is very important is to enhance the collaboration is to see, for example, what does for example Google wants, and also it depends upon the topic of importance also. So right now we are interested, and at least I can give a couple of stories. I go to the next slide. Yeah, slide 3. um, so there is a beautiful book I have written. Please take a look at it. And all this is applies to all the industries, because this book is a new book which is coming from very soon, in the matter of couple of days now. The book essentially presents the multiple facets of deep learning networks in the design, development, and deployment of these networks. Because right now I feel so sad. Sometimes people use the word AI and machine learning, not knowing how to do it, how exactly you can structure it, and how, for example, you can actually develop toolkits and develop a technology for many applications. There are a lot of applications the previous talker, Dr. Bhattacharya, presented. So there are many health related applications. So in this network book, we have given really an outstanding toolkit, and it is all kind of engaged in the context of how it can be used. Now, the other thing also, I'm a theoretician. So, a lot of people talk about theories of machine learning. So there's another book which you wrote, and so this is another mathematical theories of machine learning, which essentially gives the foundational science and application. Go to the next slide. So the focus of this talk, okay, there are a lot of places I've interacted, even in India. Currently, I'm a distinguished university professor at NFL, National Forensic Science University. That is that kind of data that now we are tackling. Chanakya University, and there are other universities, Jain. The other thing also interesting is I worked at many national labs around the country and the globe. So the most interesting thing is to see how we can develop this collaboration. That's going to be the focus. I think let's go to the next slide. And please go to the next slide. So basically it's all driven by the development of a workforce and investment, and how you can sort of get the capital market based on the industry requirements, and then how you train. So, but in India, looking at it, I mean, this is a great India with lots of brilliant talents here. In fact, many of my 65 PhD students came from IITs and all of the other universities too. I was also a professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Dhawan, professor. So the global R&D expenditures tripled from 726 billion in 2000 to an estimated 2.4 trillion in 2019. So that clearly shows there is a real capital market around the globe. Go to the next slide. So there are things like in United States. I want to give a couple of stories with this slide. I developed a robotics lab. The robotics lab was developed based on the funding from national labs and from the industries, like the industries like Raytheon. So we developed a lot of research agenda for them in the context of autonomous driving that you see that developed by Tesla and all of those things. We developed a lot of software for Raytheon on one of the very famous algorithms, which is being again funded by industries to universities. Brooks Iyengar fusion algorithm. I saw a slide from Professor Bhattacharya in my previous one. So there is this fusion of data which is coming from various different. So how do you do that? So how do you do that means like whenever the industry wants to collaborate with you or with your program, one of the things which we need to do is to see how exactly we are able to target their requirements. The industries, different industries have different requirements. Like Raytheon, they do a lot of the R&D work, in target tracking problems and so on. Then I should be able to sort of see and focus and develop, a program or a research thing and how it can be targeted. So by doing that, we were able to generate millions of dollars. And I think Atul Batra knows about it. He was a student there in 1995. So we developed a robotics lab not from funding from universities. So only thing they gave me space, and even for that space, I got to give funding. The funding essentially comes by targeting industries, national labs in an area which is of very high importance to them. Like for example, I worked on autonomous vehicle. We talked about computer vision problems. And now, for example, all our focus has been is how we can use AI and machine learning to enhance the ability for the software developers and the toolkit that we can provide and they can use it. Like IBM Watson, we were responsible for that because in fact one of the products that we developed for them, we were among the one in the top 25 ranking or not when I was at Louisiana State University. Go to the next slide. So there is a lot of this potential is there, and here is a very nice interesting. I'm not going to go into that. You can get all these slides from my friends here. So there is this interaction is going on good. So now let's come back to India. What is that we can do in India? Also we can do a lot of things. Go to the next slide. The reason for that is, like my interest now is in the area of quantum computing. So one of the work we are trying to do with NXP, there is a very good company in Bangalore, and how, for example, we can develop quantum encryption for several of the images globally, and then these algorithms that we have developed, is a joint program, and it is hopefully it is going to be funded from through Department of Science and Technology right here. And then there is also an opportunity at National Science Foundation, which has a lot of nice interesting collaboration. I saw that Nasscom has started an initiative with mighty program. In fact, NSF and mighty program, we are now just starting with National Forensic Science University. There is a proposal under review. So this kind of vibrant ecosystems where academia and industry collaborate is very, very important, because we do not have money in United States for the universities to fund. So we have to get the funding from industries by defining new problems. So through that, National Science Foundation, Department of Energy, there are many, many agencies. They have a lot of joint programs with India. So I've been exploring that through because I'm also a professor in Institute of Science. I'm also a professor at various universities. So through that channel, I'm able to work with some of the industries here and then see how we can apply and start collaborating and developing on many of these things. So that's very, very important. Now, there are two things which I am kind of focusing. Go to the next slide. One is to make sure that the successful factories, all that, what can we deliver? What is the system that we can have so that it can be used for real-time application. That's the whole idea. So that's why the toolkit book we have written is to show that how some of these toolkits can be used for enhancing and getting the data that is being trained for many of the real-time applications. So, but this cannot happen in 1 year. So the long-term academy and industry essentially gets trust and creates a stable platform for innovation. And that's what I'm really sort of looking at various industries in India and various universities also. And through our universities in the United States, we can cater a lot of interest in research and development. And at the same time, we have to develop a product that is deliverable. People can use it. An average man can use the system. So many of the forensic analysis systems we've been able to develop, they have been used, and it is, I mean, some of these things are jointly with National Forensic Science University, where we have these kind of software which are scalable software. And forensically it is an excellent software in terms of the accuracy and the development of forensics. So the target also has changed now. That's another data that is abundantly clear to me. Next, in the 5 to 10 years, that is going to be the cyber forensics. The hacking is very important. But you see, the idea is how can we develop products, and that cannot be done at the university level. So there are a lot of universities here should be able to integrate with many of the forensic science university and develop some of these programs. So we are in the process of doing that. And so there is a lot of research output that can be translated into patents, and then it can be translated and scalable to overall globally around the world. Okay, go to the next slide. And I think, and there are some notable studies, like IIT Bombay and Reliance Industries, we've been able to incorporate an Indian space research organ, ISRO. I think when Dr. Kasturi Rangan was the chairman of that, we were able to develop a lot of software in those days, remote sensing, and BHEL and IIT Roorkee. And of course, there are other places like Infosys and academic partnerships. So there is a lot of these opportunities that are available, and we should be able to see how. But again, they are not, many of these well-developed industries, like I saw that ISRO has funded 90 crores or something like that to Indian Institute of Science. But I would like other universities also to get involved through Nasscom and see what they can integrate. I mean, Indian Institute of Science may focus on research, where I knew that I was a part of a faculty there, but at the same time, developing the end product is very, very critical. So that's where I think we can get the talents in some other, second tier institutions where there are a lot of talents that are available, and for some of these programs. Okay, go to the next slide. And so the building a culture of innovation is, but again, as I said, it's a combination of both the developing the foundational science, and then developing a critical thinking, and then how it can be applied to many of these industries. But now at the same time, we need to be able to train our students to the requirements of the industries. We can't have a very theoretical content in the computer science program and say I'm interested in developing an n-log n complexity. No, that's good, but it is of absolute. So we had to look for an interdisciplinary application and develop program and see, for example. So Nasscom has been an excellent platform, and I don't think I've seen that something very similar that even in India. So there is a lot of innovation, cultures and centers and national centers of excellence that can be done. And I think India has done very well. But I think now, since I'm focusing on the forensic analysis, we can create innovative hub like forensic silicon hub, in the data that we are providing. And I think under the leadership of India today, go to the next slide, there are a lot of good things that are happening. And I was a kind of a part of some of these things. Smart city machine, yes. We developed, for example, in Miami. Miami is, a crime-ridden area in Florida. So we were able to develop and convert that into a smart city, through the funding. And then on the National Science Cyber Forensic Laboratory, and jointly with some of these kind of, organization like NXP, as I said. So some of these things are really remarkable, and there is an ample opportunity to improve. And of course, I can give you hundreds of stories of my own support on this at many of the places, with the industries in United States. But now we are focusing mostly on some of the Indian universities and national labs, and hopefully that will be a remarkable thing that we can achieve. Go to the last slide, perhaps. So you can see in many of these things, especially on the National Cyber Forensic Laboratory in Hyderabad. I've been a part of some pro discovery company where we are training students jointly through some of the funding that we can establish, so that the workforce or the capacity development through these companies like Nassforge and all of those companies that are listed under that, we can develop smart force, none other than anybody. A great opportunity for all of us to move. And again, I want to thank Nasscom and Mr. Batra, who was my actually student long back, an excellent student who has done so well, for giving this opportunity to say a few words. And I know the time is too short, but there is a very successful path forward, especially AI and machine learning, how that we can use it. I mean, along with Chat GPT, I have given a lot of talks, and a lot of good things have happened. But in any event, there are a lot of things which we can also see down the road. Again, I want to thank you, and I don't know whether there is time for any questions, but you can certainly send me an email. I will respond, and we can have a conversation on that. So finally, the conclusion is, with this koala, innovation culture that sort of I hinted on many of these things in the Indian context, we can prepare something for every small idea can be commercialized technology in the context of transfers, technology transfers, startups. And of course, what is very important is you want to make money also, the patent. So the patent, of course, I don't know much about Indian patent. They are maybe as good as even better. But US patents, when once we have it, there's a lot of global visibility is there, and which we can certainly work on that also. Okay, so thank you. And again, as I said, for this opportunity to say a few words. In fact, I just I'm actually in Bangalore now. I just came, flew this morning, so I will be here for still a couple of months, and I would be happy to talk to anybody. But there's one company, NXP, is a company which I'm associated, in working on and bringing up some chips, quantum chips. So we'll see how it goes. There is a proposal on the way. They're trying to define the intellectual, you know, the intellectual rights of the universities involved. Thank you, industries and universities. Okay, this is all the thing which I want to talk. I think I was able to communicate what is needed, what is important, and I think we are already in the progress. And this Nasscom is an outstanding platform, and I may be happy to use it. And there are many universities in the country which can help us to move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Any
Dr.
questions?
Iyengar.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a wonderful talk. Your wisdom is what we require. We have the energy, we need your wisdom. And something important that you did harp upon is developing research agenda for industry that can be commercialized. That's critical
Yes.
piece, right? And the other thing is the trust between industry and academia. That I think is a very important thing. It also might be more on the need basis. Uh, Now today the ecosystem is fragmented. It's in pockets. As soon as it reaches through a system like Nasscom to tier two universities, I think we are looking at large scale, and we need your wisdom, sir. Thanks for spending your time, and then we'll be in
Thank you.
touch with you.